Virginia Senator Mark Warner, top Democrat on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. So in addition to being Secretary of State and acting National Security Advisor, and he might be this for months, they say, he's also acting National Archivist and acting head of USAID. Are you comfortable with anybody? I mean, first of all, is Secretary Rubio able to do the two main jobs there I mentioned?
I don't know how anybody could do these two big jobs, and they're frankly very different. One is actually trying to diplomatically work with friends and adversaries around the world. And unfortunately, the number of adversaries has gone up dramatically as Trump's approach has been so awful to our allies. The other, around National Security Advisor, has really grown into a major job. Maybe slimming down some of that portfolio could make sense, but I don't see how any individual could do both of those. And then you add the other fact, Jake, that he's still overseeing the remnants of what used to be American soft power for 70 years, USAID, and even for a Marco Rubio, I think it's too much.
But you think well of him. You think that he's an able guy.
Listen, I've worked very well with him for years. I've been disappointed by some of the actions he's taken as secretary and this kind of kowtowing to Trump. Matter of fact, it appeared that cabinet meeting earlier this week where everyone went around and basically paid kudos to the great leader. It was something that, frankly, I would have expected out of North Korea, maybe not out of a cabinet meeting in America.
Secretary Rubio's new job comes after President Trump ousted Mike Waltz from the National Security Advisor position. Now the Senate is going to need to vote on whether he can serve as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. This is after he shared some sensitive information on sensitive intelligence on Signal, not to mention accidentally adding a reporter, Jeff Goldberg, to that Signal chat. Do you have faith in him to be UN ambassador?
I think it will be a brutal confirmation hearing. Waltz at least acknowledged a bit of a mistake. I think he's going to have tough questions, not only from Democrats, but from Republicans. But the guy that should be gone is Pete Hegseth, who is so far beyond his abilities, who I've challenged repeatedly. Come down to Norfolk, Virginia, and explain to the friends of the sailors who are on the Truman. That was where the Truman was the aircraft carrier the jets were launched that went against the Houthis, and try to explain how that information getting out wouldn't have put their loved ones in harm's way. Hegseth said Joe, but also candidly, as vice chair of the Intelligence Committee, former chair, Tulsi Gabbard, who I don't think there's a day that goes by, she is the director of national intelligence, isn't out literally trashing the intelligence workforce. So you've got our two major areas of protecting our country, the Defense Department and all of our intelligence community. There's not a day that goes by that I don't hear people's morale is plummeting because their lack of confidence in these leaders.
Speaking of these constituents of yours representing Virginia, where so many government officials and employees work, the Washington Post is reporting that the CIA is set to cut 1,200 positions, and thousands of more jobs will be eliminated across other intelligence agencies. I know they live in Virginia. What are Republican senators telling you privately about this deterioration of the workforce in the intelligence community?
Well, I raise this virtually every meeting, oftentimes in private because we're in classified settings. And I hear a lot of, gosh, Mark, keep talking about this. Yes, this is important. I'm basically imploring my Republican colleagues, at least go out and say you have faith in our intelligence workforce. With this kind of approach, and Jake, it cost about $340,000 to train a CIA officer, get a clearance, go through the training process. When we are going to be laying off or acquitting, a lot of these younger members, who in their right mind is going to want to go be a CIA officer, go work for the NSA where we do cryptography? They can all go make much more money in the tech world, but we are undermining what I think would be a potential next generation of workers in the intelligence domain, and for that matter, across the federal government. We're going to be paying the price for this first 100 days plus of rapid cuts, I think literally for years.
So the top Republicans on the intelligence community before the current one, Tom Cotton from Arkansas, were Burr from North Carolina and Rubio from Florida. And you were able to work in a bipartisan way, regardless of whether the Republican or the Democrat was actually the chairman. Do you have that relationship with Tom Cotton?
We're working on it.
You're working on it.
We're working on it. But the vast majority of the other members of the committee, I know they're good folks. They just have to be willing. I had one member say, Mark, you're sounding like our conscience. I don't want to be your conscience. I want you to vote your conscience. Just don't talk to me privately. I do think we're getting close to them stepping up, but the problem is going to be how much structural damage is going to be done before my Republican friends find their voice and voice publicly what they're already saying privately.
So Israel had to shut down its main international airport last night after a Houthi missile fired from Yemen could not be intercepted and landed in the vicinity of the airport. The defense minister of Israel is warning about a severe response to the attack. This comes amid repeated U.S. threats against Iran. How worried are you about an escalation of the conflict with Iran, whether Israel, Iran, or the U.S. and Iran?
I am very worried. Obviously, Iran is bad actors in the region. They are on their back foot, candidly, because of the overthrow of the Assad regime in Syria, the takedown of Hezbollah in Lebanon. The best thing we could do to stand up against Iran would be for Israel to end the conflict in Gaza, get the hostages back, because starting to rebuild and giving the Palestinians some hope for life would allow Saudi Arabia and other nations in the region to frankly recognize Israel and then put an even more united front against Iran.
I want to ask you about what happened in your state Thursday, your Commonwealth rather, on Thursday at Reagan National Airport. 2 aborted landings of passenger jets. A U.S. Army helicopter was flying nearby from the exact same unit as the helicopter that tragically crashed into the American Airlines jet in January, killing 67 people. What can you tell us about what happened Thursday? Is it safe to fly into Reagan National Airport?
I'm still flying in and out, but I have to tell you, the fact that this still happens, the fact that the Pentagon and the FAA and the folks at National have not been able to coordinate this. But again, I think this is a reflection when you randomly fire folks at the FAA, when you push people out of air traffic controllers where we're already 3,000 people short, you are going to take what has been historically the safest airspace in the world, the American airspace, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't hear people are concerned. And I've got a lot of constituents now who say, I'm just not sure I'm going to be willing to fly out of Reagan.